In 2003, astronomers pointed their instruments at a supermassive black hole at the center of the Perseus galaxy cluster and discovered something nobody expected. The black hole was producing a sound. As it devoured matter, it sent pressure waves rippling out through the gas around it, and those waves had a pitch. When scientists calculated the note, it turned out to be a B-flat, but not one you could ever hear. This note sits roughly 57 octaves below the lowest key on a piano, a million billion times deeper than the limit of human hearing. It has been droning continuously for millions of years, the deepest sound in the known universe. Space is supposed to be silent, and yet, out there, a monster has been humming the same endless note since long before humanity existed. We often imagine space as bone dry, but the largest reservoir of water ever discovered is not on Earth. It floats around a quasar more than 12 billion light-years away. This cloud of water vapor holds at least 140 trillion times all the water in every ocean on our planet. Let that sink in. If you could somehow gather every drop of every sea, lake, and river on Earth, you would have to multiply it by 140 trillion to match this single cloud in deep space. And because it is so far away, we are seeing it as it existed when the universe was very young. Water, the key ingredient for life as we know it, was already there in staggering amounts, almost as old as time itself. When astronauts walked on the moon, they left footprints in the gray dust. On Earth, a footprint vanishes in hours, erased by wind and rain. But the moon has no atmosphere, no wind, and no weather. Nothing moves the dust, which means those footprints are still there right now, perfectly preserved exactly as they were left over 50 years ago. And they will remain almost unchanged for millions of years into the future. Entire human civilizations will rise and fall. Languages will be forgotten, cities will crumble to dust, and still, those footprints will sit silently on the lunar surface. They may well outlast every other trace of humanity. Long after we are gone, the moon will quietly remember that just once we were there. Here is something that sounds impossible, but is absolutely true. Time does not flow at the same speed everywhere. The closer you are to a massive object like the Earth, the slower time moves for you. This means your feet, being closer to the ground, are actually experiencing time slightly slower than your head. It is an incredibly tiny difference, far too small to ever feel. But it is real, and it has been measured with atomic clocks precise enough to detect it. Astronauts in orbit age very slightly slower than we do. GPS satellites must constantly correct for it, or your navigation would drift by miles every single day. Time is not a fixed background. It bends, it stretches, and is woven together with space itself into the very fabric of reality. Venus is the strangest clock in the solar system. It spins so slowly that a single day there, one full rotation, takes longer than its entire year. Venus orbits the Sun in about 225 Earth days. But to turn around just once on its axis takes about 243. In other words, if you lived on Venus, you would celebrate your birthday before the Sun had even finished a single day in the sky. Stranger still, Venus spins backwards compared to almost every other planet. There, the Sun would rise in the west and set in the east. It is a world where time itself feels broken, a scorching, poisonous place where the very rhythm of day and night has been turned completely upside down. Right now, billions of miles away, a small spacecraft built in the 1970s is still traveling. Its name is Voyager 1, and it is the most distant human-made object in existence. It has left the planets behind, crossed beyond the influence of our sun, and entered interstellar space, the void between the stars. It is so far away that its faint radio signal, traveling at the speed of light, takes around 22 hours to reach us. On board, it carries a golden record, a message containing sounds and images of Earth, in case it is ever found. It will drift through the galaxy for billions of years, long after our sun has died, a tiny, silent ambassador carrying the memory of a species that once looked up and dared to reach for the stars. When we picture a planet, we imagine it circling a star, bathed in light and warmth. But the galaxy is full of planets that have no star at all. They're called rogue planets, worlds that drift alone through the darkness, untethered to any sun. Some were flung out of their solar systems by violent gravitational chaos. Others may have formed alone in the cold. Astronomers now believe there could be billions of them, perhaps even more rogue planets than there are stars in our galaxy. Imagine a world the size of Earth, wandering endlessly through eternal night, its surface frozen, with no sunrise, no seasons, and no day. For all we know, one could be passing through our region of space at this very moment, invisible, silent, and utterly alone. Our galaxy is not sitting still. The Milky Way is racing through space at over 2 million kilometers per hour. But here's the unsettling part. We are being pulled towards something, and we are not entirely sure what it is. Astronomers call it the Great Attractor, a region of space with a gravitational pull so immense that it is dragging thousands of galaxies, including ours, toward it. The problem is, it sits in a direction hidden behind the dense center of our own galaxy, blocked from clear view. So we are being pulled helplessly across hundreds of millions of light years toward a mystery we can barely see. Whatever it is, it has been shaping the motion of our entire corner of the universe, and we are only beginning to understand its power. The gold in your jewelry has a violent and astonishing origin. It was not made on Earth, and it was not even made in an ordinary star. Most of the gold in the universe was forged in one of the most catastrophic events imaginable, the collision of two neutron stars. When these ultra-dense corpses of dead stars crash into each other, the explosion is so extreme that it manufactures heavy elements, including gold, and hurls them across space. That gold drifted for billions of years, eventually becoming part of the cloud that formed our planet. So every gold ring, every coin, every necklace is the product of an ancient cosmic catastrophe. You are quite literally wearing the shrapnel of colliding dead stars, scattered across the galaxy long before the Earth was born. The universe is not just big, it is growing, and it is growing faster every second. Space itself is expanding, carrying distant galaxies away from us, and many of them are now receding so quickly that their light will never reach us again. This leads to a haunting truth. There are galaxies out there that we can still see tonight, but which we could never travel to, not even at the speed of light, because the space between us is stretching faster than we could ever cross it. Slowly, over billions of years, these galaxies will fade from view, slipping beyond the edge of the observable universe forever. The cosmos is quietly closing its doors, one galaxy at a time. We live in a rare moment when we can still see how vast it truly is. Every star you have ever seen is temporary. Stars are born, they burn, and eventually they die. And one day, in the unimaginably distant future, the last star will flicker out. Astronomers estimate that star formation will eventually end, and over trillions of years, every remaining star will exhaust its fuel and fade to black. After that comes an era of total darkness, a cold, silent universe of dead stars, black holes, and drifting particles slowly fading toward nothing. Scientists call it the heat death of the universe. It is the ultimate ending, where even time loses meaning. But do not despair. That future is so far away that the entire current age of the universe is barely a rounding error in comparison. The lights are still on, and we are here to witness them. Space is cold, but there is one spot colder than the empty void itself. It is called the Boomerang Nebula, about 5,000 light years away, and it is the coldest known place in the entire universe. Its temperature drops to just 1 degree above absolute zero, the point where atoms themselves almost stop moving. That makes it colder than the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, the background chill that fills all of space. Remarkably, this deep cold is created by the nebula itself. A dying star at its center is flinging out gas so rapidly that the expansion chills everything around it, like a cosmic refrigerator on an unimaginable scale. So the coldest place we have ever found is not in some distant empty corner. It is being actively created by a star in the middle of its own death. Out of all the cold, empty, violent vastness we have explored, here is the final thought. On a small blue planet, orbiting an ordinary star, in one of billions of galaxies, a collection of atoms became aware of itself. That is you. After 13 billion years of stars exploding and elements scattering, the universe produced something capable of looking back and trying to understand it. When you gaze up at the night sky, the cosmos is, in a sense, looking at itself. You are not a tiny, insignificant speck lost in the dark. You are the universe, awake, curious, and alive. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, and I will see you among the stars.